Hello, world, and welcome to the Quick Kick Picks presented by Burrows Talking Soccer. My name is Dave Canito. I'm here with my brother Christian. Christian, hello, welcome back.
Hello, David. I'm so excited to be back. It feels like ages since we've last podcast together, and I'm ready to talk about some MLS.
I know, it's MLS Match Week 17. How do I look? I'm under new lighting. It's a little bit brighter. Do I look more angelic?
You definitely do, and you could tell that the spotlight is really on you in this podcast because everything always seems to be.
Not a podcast. It's a video.
Oh
I don't know how many times we have to do this.
It's the same shit.
Hello, viewers. Thank you for tuning into this video that we're doing this week, previewing MLS Match Week 17. We have all 12 teams, all 24 teams in 12 matches back in action. Everybody's back from the Gold Cup break, and we're super excited to talk about everything. Before we get into it, each match we restrict to about 2 minutes that we talk about. That's because Twitter restricts us to about 2 minutes, so it keeps this thing moving along. Also, we are doing a Quick Kick Picks game. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to leave your predictions below or reply over on our Twitter with your predictions. If you get the home team score correct, that is a point. If you get the away team score correct, that is a point. If you get the result correct, that is a point. If you get all three of those correct, you end up getting 5 points. And we are in our final week of the month of June. You can still play. If you haven't played before, you can make up ground very quickly if you get a couple score predictions absolutely correct and fly up that leaderboard. The winner, highest score at the end of the month of June, will get to come on our podcast for 15 minutes. Christian, anything you would like to advise?
Yeah, it's the last week, I guess, of June, so definitely get involved in the game. You could definitely make up some ground if you get a lot of scores right, and, it's just a lot of fun. You should do some research. I would love a challenge out here because, seems like nobody is able to, but I think this week people are going to make some ground up on me here.
Yeah, you're not even in first right now, so you're talking a lot of smack.
I was for a very long time, so...
We've only been doing this for about a month, so...
Very long time.
Okay, all right, that's enough chit-chat here. Let's get to the matches we're talking about. Kicking things off on Friday, June 28th, we have the New York Red Bulls hosting the Chicago Fire at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen in this one?
So I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think it's going to be very tightly contested, but I think the Red Bulls are going to eventually sneak this one out in a 2-1 victory. I think Chicago do have the firepower in the attack. I just think that right now the Rebels just are a better team overall, and it's starting to look that way. Each match, they seem to be building more chemistry together after a very slow start to the season. And although I still think that the Fire are a team that are going to make the playoffs, I think the Red Bulls are a team that can really challenge in the Eastern Conference towards the end of the season. So they're just going to pull it off at home.
In the long run, I think you're right, but in this match, Red Bull hasn't played since June 11th. That was in the Open Cup. They haven't played in MLS since June 8th, and their two matches that they've played since June 8th have been both 3-2 losses. Prior to that, they've been on a bit of an unbeaten run, but I think we've already seen some teams come out and kind of play sloppy out of the break. I think that the Red Bulls are going to be a little bit tripped up, and this one ends up as a 1-1 draw. Now, Chicago, meanwhile, has played more recently. They played on June 22nd. They're already kind of back into the swing of things. Chicago, though, hasn't won across all competitions since May 11th. They do have 2 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses in their last 10 matches, and I think they're able to grind out a result here in New York. Not because Chicago is really that great, but more or less I expect Red Bull to be a little bit rusty here. Chicago's not really great on the road, but I expect the Red Bulls to give up a goal and Chicago to hold them to just 1 goal scored. Anything else you would like to add on this match?
I just still think that the Red Bulls at home are a different prospect than Chicago are on the road. So the Red Bulls at home will get the job done.
Score, did you say?
Yep, 2-1.
2-1. All right, so we'll see what happens. Next match we're talking about is the Colorado Rapids hosting LAFC at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, June 28th. Now, Colorado, they haven't lost in MLS since May 11th. They've only been shut out 1 time all season, and that was on the road against one of the league's best defensive teams in Atlanta. Scoring goals is not the problem for Colorado. It's on the defensive side of things. They've only kept 2 clean sheets all season. They're conceding 2.1 goals per game and 2.2 goals per game at home. They're coming up against LAFC. Now, LAFC is going to be missing Walker Zimmerman, Tyler Miller, and Mark Anthony Kaye. but they still have Diego Rossi, Carlos Vela, Atuesta, and a ton of other talent. I expect LAFC to roll in this one. It's going to be high scoring, and LAFC is going to get a 3-2 win. So the scoreline is going to be close, but LAFC to win 3-2 on the road. Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think LAFC definitely is going to win this game, but I do not think it's going to be as close as you think that it is. I know that Walker Zimmerman and a couple other key pieces are missing for LAFC, but LAFC's attack is just dynamic as ever in any type of game. It doesn't matter. They are just so deep, specifically in their attack. And although they have played well defensively, I still think that right now they're going to be missing important pieces of that defense. So I think they're going to score a lot of goals. Yes, they might concede, but I don't think they're going to concede 2. I think they will only concede 1 and win this game 4-1 on the road. Colorado has been very, very good in the last couple of weeks. Well, I won't say very, very good, but they have been much, much better than they were in the start of the season, where they were probably the worst team in MLS for quite some time there. But they have started to grind out results. Not losing since early in May is just a huge, just positive for them. But right now, I don't think that they have the tools to beat this LAFC team.
I'm in agreement. One last little piece of reference. LAFC, they haven't played in MLS since June 1st, but they have had some Open Cup matches in there, and I don't expect them to have a ton of rust here. I expect them to come out firing on all cylinders and prevail 3-2. Next match we're talking about, moving to Saturday, June 29th, we have Minnesota United hosting FC Cincinnati at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what do you think is going to happen?
So we got our Eastern Conference matchup, right? No, it's not. Yeah.
Christian's he's got jokes, everybody.
Okay. So Minnesota is clearly going to win this game. FC Cincinnati is just a nightmare of a team right now. They cannot figure out how to get their act together, and going to Minnesota is not going to help them. They need a happy homecoming a little bit more than a lot of other teams, just hopefully to grind out a result, just to change the fortunes of their team right now. But Minnesota, on the other hand, are a solid team at home. They're not really brilliant at home, and they're not going to really challenge the Western Conference. But right now, they are significantly better than FC Cincinnati is, and they're going to win at home, probably 3-0 in this game is my guess.
I have Minnesota getting 3, but FC Cincinnati nicking a goal, so I'm going to say this one ends 3-1. Minnesota does have 3 straight losses in MLS play, and they were shut out in 2 of those, but they did get 2 Open Cup victories during the break, and they scored 4 goals versus SKC and 3 goals on the road in Houston. The offense has gone cold in MLS play, so since mid-April, they're averaging 0.7 goals per game. But, again, they started to get the ball rolling a little bit more in Open Cup play, and also playing FC Cincinnati is going to help them kind of get the offense going again, and that's why I think they're able to get 3 goals here. On the FC Cincinnati front, they have 5 straight MLS losses. They've only scored 4 goals in those 5 matches, and 2 of them were own goals by NYC FC, so they've only actually scored themselves 2 goals during that span. They did get a win in extra time against Louisville City in the Open Cup, but then they lost to another second division side in St. Louis FC on the road. They have the worst attack in the league. They're tied for the worst defense in goals conceded per game, and the numbers get even worse on the road, and that's why I think Minnesota prevails 3-1 here. Anything else, Christian?
Yeah, I just don't think FC Cincinnati have the tools to score on the road, and they have just been a disaster at the back. They're going to concede many goals in this game.
Absolutely. Next match we are talking about is Atlanta United hosting the Montreal Impact at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, both these sides are coming off of midweek MLS matches. Atlanta had the lead against Toronto, but they blew that. They conceded a last-minute penalty to Pozuelo, and TFC took the lead. And Pity Martinez had a last-second penalty of his own that he ended up missing. They still have encouraging signs from an Atlanta standpoint. They had a relatively poor offense to start the first 3 months of the season, but they've scored at least 2 goals in each of their last 5 matches in all competitions. That has come without Barco, Joseph, and Pitti all playing together. Now, they'll still be without Joseph here, but I still think their defense remains very solid. They're only conceding 0.5 goals per game at home, and this one being at home, I have Atlanta getting a 2-0 win here. Montreal, again, coming off of a midweek win, but it was against a heavily rotated Portland side. That was their first. This is going to be their first road match since May 24th. That's over a month. Lovitz and Brown, or Brownie, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, are both away at the Gold Cup. I think those absences are really going to hurt Montreal's not a pushover on the road. They have 4 wins in 11 matches, but Atlanta too tough at home. They get a 2-0 win. Christian, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just a little surprised that Montreal are where they are right now, and they are really challenging in the East for the top spot. But Atlanta, after a abysmal start to this season, are all of a sudden just really rolling. And you highlighted their defense. I think that's where it all started. As soon as they started to plug up the holes that they were giving up goals, their attack is going to come together. And we all knew the talent that they have. Joseph Martina and Pity Martinez are that was a very mouthful. Wow. Oof. Okay. So words. Oof. I just think Atlanta at home are going to get the job done. And although Montreal have been playing excellent at times, their attack still has me concerned, and they have a very strong defense at times. I don't think it's been as strong as the way they started the season, but they are coming up against one of the most creative attacks in the league, and they're going to concede 2 goals in this game. I think that they do grab a goal on the road and win this game 2-1.
Atlanta wins.
Atlanta wins 2-1.
Atlanta wins 2-1. All right. Shout out Okonkwo for that goal that he scored. That was an absolute worldie against Portland as well. Next match we're talking about, NYC FC is hosting the Philadelphia Union at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what do you have happening here?
Well, I can tell you right now the field is going to be a weird one, because it always is when you play NYC FC. I really just can't stand the way that their field is set up, that they still play there, and I can't wait for the day where that's no longer a thing. But in this game, I think there's going to be a lot of chances created, because the Union are one of the best in the league at creating chances. NYCFC, on the other hand, are very, very talented in their own right. And they have the least amount of losses, I believe, in the league right now. So yeah, they are able. Yeah, they have a lot of draws this season, but they continue to get points even when they don't play well. And that's been a sign of what the Union have done as well this year and why they're in first place. So I think this game does end up as a draw in the end, because both teams just really are stubborn and don't want to lose even when they're playing poorly. But I think this game probably ends 2-2 just because so many chances will be created. I don't trust either of them really defensively, but they do have a lot of creative players, and there's just with the small field and the tiny spaces, both teams are able to get shots off and score goals.
I hope you're right, but I'm going to give the edge to NYCFC at home here. I have them prevailing 2-1 in this one. Now, NYCFC, they only have 1 loss on the year. None of them have been at home. They're unbeaten in 12 games across all competitions. They're going to be without Sean Johnson here and James Sands, but they don't have any other major misses. Also, the Union played midweek while NYCFC did not, so they should be a little bit fresher. I feel like the Union have just historically struggled at Yankee Stadium. I expect Marco Fabian to be back here, but he hasn't played much and may not be, in the best form. And the whole team didn't necessarily play great in New England. I think Philly is able to nick a goal, but their depth is going to be tested here. They're in a stretch of 4 matches in 11 days. And I think this game is going to be ugly on that really tight field. The Union want to play a pressing system, and the game may get ugly with not a ton of space. But I have NYCFC prevailing 2-1 in this one. Anything else?
Yeah, I think Marco Fabian does play a part, but he comes off the bench just because of his fitness right now.
Fair enough. Next match we're talking about is the Columbus Crew hosting Orlando City FC at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Columbus is more or less in a free fall right now. Since April 6th win over New England, they have 2 wins, 1 draw, and 10 losses across all competitions. They're only scoring 0.9 goals per game. Only FC Cincinnati is worse. Zardes is out on international duty. Higuain is out with a torn ACL. Zach Steffen is with the national team before moving on to Germany. I don't see this turning around for Columbus for the rest of their season.
You also got Will Trapp out of there too.
Yeah, they have Will Trapp out as well. Thank you. But having said all of that, they didn't have a midweek game. They played last weekend, and they maintained the pace of about a match per week. And I have Columbus getting a relatively surprising 2-1 win here. Additionally, Orlando, they lost midweek against DC on a ridiculous goal by Wayne Rooney, but they played pretty well. But similar to the Union, they have 4 matches in 11 days, and I wouldn't be shocked if Orlando has heavy lineup rotation here. So my prediction is that with a heavy lineup rotation from Orlando, you see Columbus get a 2-1 win. Now, if Orlando doesn't heavily rotate the lineup here and they go a little bit stronger, I could see Orlando either getting a draw or a win. But official prediction, 2-1 Columbus. Christian.
That was definitely something I was going to highlight as well, is Orlando is probably going to rotate a lot of players for this match just because it's on the road, and they do have a lot of games coming up in a short period. So I do not think they're going to get anything from this game. And Columbus, even though they have just fallen apart this season and, as you said, are free falling, they just do not have the pieces. And with all the people out on international duty or Higuain out injured, they just can't compete right now at times. In this game, obviously, I have them winning, but they are lost. And I just don't think that they have the tools to make the playoffs this year. This is going to be a surprise result, I think. I think they're going to win 2-0, actually, and not even give up a goal. But it's going to not be great for them from this point on after this match.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. Next match we're talking about is, let me start the timer. Next match we're talking about is the New England Revolution hosting the Houston Dynamo at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
So the New England Revolution surprised me this week in how they handled the Union, who are one of the most creative teams in the league, and Houston are similarly creative and are very, very good in their own right. So I think Houston are going to come in here. New England are on the back of a short week. I don't think Houston had a midweek game this week, correct?
I believe that they did. No, they played San Jose, yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, I still think Houston are going to come in and win this game. I think they're a deeper squad, and even though they might rest some people just because it's traveling and they got the turf and whatever other reasons that there could be, I think Houston are the better team. And New England, although they have played much better under Bruce Arena, just are one of the weaker teams in terms of talent, and just I guess they've gotten better tactically, but I still think that the Houston team is just better overall. And you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm not going to have them win. I'm going to have them get a draw here. Just last second, my mind is changing. So I'm going to go 1-1 here.
1-1. Okay. I think all else being equal, yes, Houston is the more talented team, but New England has been playing better since Brad Friedel was fired, particularly on the defensive side of things. They haven't given up more than a goal in an MLS game, and that's been over their last 5 matches. Bunbury looked really good at center forward, and Agudelo has adapted pretty well to that center midfielder / right midfielder kind of role. I expect to see a strong lineup in this before some lineup rotation for New England on the road against Colorado on July 4th. Now, Houston, they've been in a rough patch of form. They have 3 losses and a draw in their last 4 MLS matches. They haven't scored in their last 2 MLS matches, which have come without Kyoto and Elise. They should be back from the Gold Cup, but I don't know if they're going to be starting here and how much of a role they'll play in this one. Additionally, Houston has been pretty poor on the road, and I think that continues here. New England to get a relatively easy 2-0 win. Also factored in here, Houston has to fly across country from San Jose midweek, so they're going to be tired in addition to all that. New England 2-0. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match we are talking about is DC United versus Toronto FC at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, DC won midweek against Orlando with Wayne Rooney, market goal of the year, 70 yards in the air, absolutely ridiculous. But the match overall was pretty tight, and DC's defense just was able to lock it down. They have one of the best defenses in the league, and they proved that here. DC has 4 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses in their last 10 across all competitions. If you ignore, their friendly, it's a pretty good run of form. They're going to be without Paul Arriola, but TFC is still missing even more key players in Bradley, Altidore, and Osorio. They were able to pull off a shock 3-2 win from my perspective over Atlanta this weekend, even though they tried to give it away at the end with that penalty. That was their first win since May 4th. They haven't kept a clean sheet since May 15th, which came against DC, but that was a DC lineup that didn't have Rooney, Acosta, and Arriola in the starting lineup. They came off the bench, but I don't see that happening here, and I expect Toronto to struggle. DC with an emphatic 3-0 win. Christian, what do you think is going to happen?
Absolutely agree with you there. I think DC are going to emphatically win this one, and although Toronto did surprise a lot of people with that win against Atlanta, it's just not going to be enough to spur them on here. DC and just did not look great in the attack in their game against Orlando. I think Orlando are one of those sneaky teams that can be difficult to play against on their day. So DC really great work to get that job done when it was a very tight game. And the way to do it is that. So Wayne Rooney, congratulations to you for that goal. That was absolutely insane. He is just in ridiculous form right now, and I think that he continues to play that well, and it's going to get the job done again this week, and DC's going to win this game. I'm going even bigger. I'm saying this is going to be a 4-0 win for DC United against Toronto.
Wow. I have Rooney as my captain in MLS Fantasy this week, so I am loving that pick, and I expect him to get some goals here. And again, DC being at home is a big benefit. They didn't, even though they played midweek, again, just being at home in both those is huge. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match we are talking about. Real Salt Lake is hosting Sporting Kansas City at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Sporting Kansas City are one of those teams that makes it really hard for me to make a decision because you never know what they're going to put out there. They've had so many injuries this year. They've missed key pieces at times.
They're like a box of chocolates, Christian.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. I get it. Yeah, good work, Dave. That's a good analogy right there. But
let me just pat myself on the back here.
Real Salt Lake at home, they're just one of those teams to me that I never really hear much about, but they're always just there, and they're always just like on the cusp of playoffs, and they can be competitive, but they can also just be awful on given days. Sporting Kansas City are doing the same thing, and so the fact that they're on the road this week, I think that gives the edge to Real Salt Lake, and Real Salt Lake are going to end up winning this match. But I think it's going to be very, very, very tight, and I think we're going to see a lot of goals in this game, actually. So I'm predicting a 3-2 win for Real Salt Lake. I think that they're going to take a 3-1 lead, but there's going to be a late goal just to make it tense at the end. But Real Salt Lake will control this one.
All right. Christian, RSL are streakers. They absolutely love to streak. Since they drew and won their opening 2 matches, they have repeated their results at least one time in every time. So after their win and their draw and then win, they've lost 4, won 2, lost 2, won 3, lost 3. They drew their last match, so this one has to be a draw. It's just that simple. All right? I have it being a draw also. What's that?
So, wow, okay, that's a very bold pattern there, right there.
There you go. So that's what you come here for. You come here for these little sort of weird, I'm a big trend guy, you know. And so from an SKC perspective,
very trendy. If you didn't know.
They're starting to get healthy. They won at Columbus last weekend. They have 1 win, 4 draws, and 3 losses on the road. That's not a terrible record. Neither side is very good defensively. Christian, you touched on that. And so I think this is a very entertaining match, and ends 2-2. So again, I'm in agreement with you on the high scoring, but I think SKC and Real Salt Lake end up drawing. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match we're talking about is San Jose Earthquakes hosting the LA Galaxy in the Cali Classico, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. This is one of the oldest and fiercest rivalries in MLS, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. Now, San Jose, they haven't lost at home since March 30th when they were absolutely destroyed by LAFC. In that time frame, they have 20 goals scored, 7 conceded in the 7 matches that they've played in all competitions at home. Vaco got 2 goals against Houston on Wednesday, and LA Galaxy, meanwhile, won comfortably at FC Cincinnati over the weekend, but Zlatan was unhappy in that one. LA didn't play midweek, so they should be a little bit fresher here. Having said that, they're not going to have Jonah Dos Santos or Oriel Antuna. They're both away at the Gold Cup with Mexico. I think that the rivalry, plus a little bit more rest for the LA Galaxy and a slightly more talented roster for LA, even with the absences, means that this one ends up as a 1-1 draw. Christian, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm also going to pick a draw in this game, but I think I'm going to go with the 2-2 draw just because I think both teams defensively have a lot of question marks. I think that they both have the ability to score goals, but Zlatan definitely is going to play a part in this game. I predict at least a goal from him just because San Jose's defense just cannot contain him. And who can, these days? But I still think that LA Galaxy definitely have the better roster. But as you highlighted, these rivalry matches can just be so different. It doesn't matter what the form is. It doesn't matter what you put out there. The fans, the atmosphere really just play in, and the players just feel it the entire game. So I think we can expect a lot of hard tackles and a lot of fun in a high-scoring game here.
Yeah, absolutely. So being out here in San Jose, I've been to actually 2 of the Cali Clásicos, and they are really intense and they're a lot of fun. And that's why San Jose has been in a decent run of form too, and they're playing well, and this should be a really entertaining match. Even if it only ends up as 1-1, I expect it to be very entertaining. Anything else?
Nope.
Next match and final match on Saturday, we have the Seattle Sounders hosting the Vancouver Whitecaps at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in a Cascadia Cup rivalry match. Christian, what's going to happen here?
Gotta love these rivalry matches. It's the second one we're touching on this weekend, and I just think Seattle are the better team overall. I know they have missing a couple of people, but it's not.
A couple is a generous term here.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
missing everyone.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta miss people so that when they come back, you just feel it more. So
If you
I
love
think
someone,
yeah,
you gotta let them
gotta,
go.
but then they'll come back. It's just the way the world works. So I think Seattle. Yeah, now that you're saying that, but I still think they're going to win this game. But I think it's going to be tighter than I initially thought. Uh, at home, that is one of the most difficult places to go for any team, just because the atmosphere that the fans in Seattle are able to generate. So I think they are able to get the win here, and I think it's going to be only like a 1-0 win. I don't expect a lot of goals in this game just because of the heavy rotation, and we really haven't seen much of them recently. So I think Seattle do win this game. I don't know what the Whitecaps are going to really bring. I think they're going to probably control possession just because they do have more of their star players, but Seattle typical on the counterattack.
All right, so I have this just being an ugly game. I have it ultimately ending up as a 1-1. Seattle, they're going to be without Jordan Morris, Christian Roldan, Roman Torres, Raul Ruiz-Diaz, and Nico Ladero. Additionally, Will Bruin tore his ACL. They haven't played since June 12th. They've lost 4 straight in all competitions, and they're winless in their last 5. Now, the only bonus that they have is that they are playing at home. Meanwhile, Vancouver, they played midweek. They had a good comeback against FC Dallas after they went down 2 goals. That's going to be confidence boosting for them. They have 3 straight scoring draws and draws in 5 of their last 6 matches. They're not a great road team, but Seattle, having not played in a while and missing a ton of players, is why I ultimately think this one ends up as a 1-1 draw. Christian, anything else you want to add?
I don't expect a lot of shots to come in this game or a lot of chances created, but I think that there's going to be 1 goal and it will fall to Seattle.
All right, we'll see what happens. Final match of the weekend, Sunday, June 30th, we have the Portland Timbers taking on FC Dallas at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Portland decided to heavily rotate their lineup midweek against Montreal, and they ultimately lost 2-1. Valeri and Fernandez were rested in that. I expect both of them to be back and raring to go in this one. Before that, they had 2 straight 4-0 wins, one in the Open Cup and one in MLS. Both those came at home prior to that loss to Montreal. On the Dallas front, they fell apart at the end of that Vancouver match after they were up 2-0. They have a midweek match at home on July 4th versus DC, so I'm not certain will we see some lineup rotation here or not. And also, FC Dallas is not a great road team. 7 points in their 8 matches. I have Portland getting a relatively comfortable 3-1 win. In addition, I forgot to mention, obviously Providence Park is a huge bonus for Portland. Christian, what do you think is going to happen here?
I definitely have Portland winning this game. I think Dallas's collapse in midweek is definitely going to plague their mind, and definitely having the midweek match is going to make them rest a couple of key players. You don't really want to travel that much going to Portland and back to Dallas. So I think a lot of people will remain home, and we're going to see a Portland comfortable 2-0 win here. I don't think Dallas really will have the firepower to score in Portland. They, after a terrible start as well, have come back to life, Portland, and they look like they're going to be challenging in the playoff race towards the end of the season. I don't think they're going to be challenging, obviously, with LAFC for the Western Conference title, but they are a talented team. They are the current reigning Western Conference champions, and there's a reason for that. I don't think Dallas are going to walk in there and get anything from this game.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. And obviously, that horrible start coincided with them having to play so many matches on the road. As they got to the end of all those road matches and then started to look forward to coming home, you started to see some wins. And now with vast majority of their matches to end the season at home, you're going to see them rocket up the table. So I agree with you on that one. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that they will rocket up the table. I still don't think they're going to end too high, but they will be challenging once playoff time comes.
Yeah, for maybe a home playoff game. They'll be right around that line. This has been the Quick Kick Picks presented by Burrows Talking Soccer. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure to leave your predictions underneath the video. Christian, anything you would like to say to the viewers?
I would love to say some stuff to the viewers. First of all, definitely go play the game because we would love some challenging opponents out there. We just love it. And one last thing is, let's go get some matches played.
All right, everybody, go enjoy your MLS match week 17. We'll be back with another video next week in preparation for the midweek 4th of July matches. And have a great week. Go enjoy. Talk to you soon. See ya.